Well, got the rear cargo box for my wife's bike done. Pretty cool. Yamaha, $426 with taxes. Really pretty good thing. Pretty big piece. It installs with taking the rear rack bolts off, the original bolts, and they give you two longer bolts to go on. And then there's two brackets that go on in here. It's just a metal plate underneath this with a rubber backing on it. And then two collars and two bolts that go down on the left and right side. But the funny thing is, oh, and there's also a drain plug in here. So if you got water in here or whatever, you just pull the drain plug out and you drain it. But on these rear rack bolts, I couldn't get these new bolts to go in no matter what I tried. So I finally figured it out, and they didn't thread these rear rack supports right here. And it's right up in here. Really hard work to get in there and do it. And that's on both sides. So I just took a 1/25 tap and I re-tapped the bolt holes because there's nuts welded onto that rear rack. So I had to rear tap them in there. I re-tapped them, put them in, and finally got the bolts. And then I looked at the original bolts, and what they're doing is they're just using like a power wrench, and it's like they just drilled a hole and they're using the nuts, these bolts, to put the threads in. So it was a lot of work to get those to finally receive it. So if anybody out there is having an issue, it's a 1/25 tap. I suggest you re-tap those holes before you try and put those extended nuts in there, because you're going to have a really hard time, and quite a difficult thing to figure out when they say this and that and they give you a product to do it. So Yamaha makes great products, but I can tell you what, they surely screw up their bolts. There's a pun. So yeah, that's the cover. Nothing goes on in here. There's a little bit of room, a gap, but nothing can go in here. It's just a gasket in here to keep everything watertight type thing, which just goes around on the edges. So yeah, worked out pretty good. Good little latches that just go on. Not complicated. They're just gonna last forever. And there it is. So, oh, and you get two cup holders. One for my wife, one for me. And on my bike, obviously, that's where we're going to keep our food and a lot of the stuff we need to keep dry. Just got my buddy's Harley ready. It's my old Harley. He bought it. Just got this thing all shined up, polished, oil changes, the whole bit, air filter recleaned. So yeah, she's sparkling. She's looking good. So there we go. That's what's going on in the toy garage today. Have a good day, folks.